If you've been going to the gym for months now, putting in the work, not really missing any sessions, but when you look in the mirror, you're feeling a little bit frustrated because you're not seeing much of a difference, then this video is for you. There's a good chance that you're making one of the most common mistakes that there is, but the most frustrating part is you probably don't even know you're making it. The mistake is that you think you're training when you're actually exercising. And look, I know they sound like the same thing, but they're completely different. And which one you're actually doing is going to decide how much progress you actually make. So in this video, I'm going to break down the difference. And more importantly, give you a simple way to make sure that from now on, you're actually training and not just spinning your wheels. The best way to see it is that exercise is random, but training is structured. If you're going into a gym with no real plan, you're just jumping on whatever's free, you've got no real goals that you're trying to aim for in terms of weights, reps, times, or anything like that. You're just going in there to get a bit of a sweat on, burn a few calories, get yourself moving, and ultimately feel good and feel like you've done something, then you are exercising. And let me just point out, that is not a bad thing. That is so much better than sitting at home, binge watching Netflix and not really doing anything. However, if you go into the gym with a plan, you know exactly what exercises you're going to do, you know exactly what order you're going to do them in, you even know what days you're going to go in, you've got little mini goals for every single session and you're seeking to get a little bit better each time that you go in, and you've even got backup exercises in mind in case the kit that you need is being used, then you are training. And this doesn't just apply to the gym either. Let's take running for example. If you go for a run on a random sunny evening because you want to get out in the sun, get a bit of a sweat on, get yourself moving and just feel good, then you are exercising. But if you go for a run on a certain day, at a certain time, regardless of the weather, because you plan to, and you've got goals that you're aiming for in terms of distance, speed, time, etc., then you are training. Same exercise, just completely different ways of thinking about it. And this is where we start to see a bit of a mindset shift. Because when you start training instead of exercising, you make that shift from exercising to burning calories and get a sweat on to training for a much better reason. Because here's the thing, if one of your main goals is fat loss, the planned training that you do won't actually make that much of a difference to the calories that you burn on a day-to-day basis. It's your nutrition that is key. We don't train for fat loss, we eat for fat loss, or rather we eat less for fat loss. That's what a calorie deficit is. But this is a video about training, so it's important to understand that you should train for a much better reason. Train to get fitter, train to get stronger, train to build muscle, train for an event, or even to improve your performance in a chosen sport. But please, whatever you do not train for fat loss. Sort your nutrition out for fat loss and train for something else. But as well as that, from another mindset standpoint, you'll exercise because you want to, but you'll train because you plan to. Training will have you showing up to the gym or going for that run on the days that you don't really want to because you want to achieve those longer term goals. But it goes further than that. It's about so much more than just dropping body fat, building muscle, or achieving any of those other goals that I just mentioned. Because when you make that shift from exercising to training and you start showing up on the days that you don't really want to, you start building discipline. And it's not an understatement to say that when you start building discipline, you start building self-confidence. Because when you think about it, self-confidence is just trusting yourself. Every time you show up and do the hard thing that you probably don't want to do, but know you need to do, you're actually showing up for yourself. And if someone consistently showed up for you when they said they would, you'd probably trust them. You'd probably have confidence in them. And this is how you build confidence in yourself, by showing up and doing the things that you said you were going to do. And you don't get that from exercising, but you do get that from training. And you can imagine what this will do for all the different aspects of your life outside of fitness. Of course, this doesn't just go for training. It goes hand in hand with your nutrition, your steps, your sleep, and all the other day-to-day stuff that make up your fitness journey. And look, I know this might sound a little bit deep for a video on training, but instead of seeing it as just another workout, when you can start seeing it as a commitment to yourself, it takes on a new kind of importance. And when you see it that way, you're probably less likely to miss a session. So now you might be thinking, how exactly do you make that switch from exercising to training? Well, first of all, you need a plan. And that plan doesn't need to have you going to the gym 6 days a week or running 5 miles a day, but it does need to be tailored to your goals, your abilities, and your schedule. You need a clear plan of action of what days you're going to train, what exercises you're going to do, and what goals you're going to aim for. Now, if you've realized you've not actually got a plan and you've been winging it this whole time, then I've made something that'll help. I've put together a free training split calculator. All you do is answer a few quick questions about your goals, your experience, and how many days you can actually train. And then it's going to give you a training schedule specific to you. So rather than guessing or copying a random training split off the internet that's probably built for someone with a completely different schedule to you, you're going to get a proper starting point built around you. It takes a couple of minutes, it's completely free, and like I say, the link is in the description if you want it. And then the next thing that is key in taking you from exercising to training is this term known as progressive overload. The best way to think about progressive overload is simply seeking to get a little bit better each time that you do something. That might be lifting a bit more weight, lifting for a few more reps, training a bit more often throughout the week over time, running a bit further, running a bit faster, or any other little mini progression. But the key with this is to progress small amounts at a time. You don't want to progress too much too soon because you risk injury, risk burning yourself out, or just not being consistent with the plan that you've laid out. Think of it like a staircase. You just want to take it one step at a time. If you try to jump too many stairs at once, then you risk falling on your ass and not making any progress. And these little mini progressions actually become little mini goals for every single session, which actually makes training much more motivating and much more enjoyable than exercising, because every single session has a purpose to it rather than simply turning up for the sake of it. And eventually those little mini progressions, those little mini goals, they're going to add up to some serious progress. Like I've said before, little hinges swing big doors. And then the last thing that you need to do to make sure you're training and not just exercising is simply make sure you're logging your training. You need to make a note of what you did this time to make goals for next time, and that's only going to come from logging your training. Now, don't think that you need to completely eradicate exercising from your routine. There's plenty of times that I'll go for a random run, a random bike ride, do a class, or just get a random workout in. But I do think it's important to see exercising as a way to complement your training. See your training as a priority if you really want to make progress. They're the sessions that are non-negotiable, the ones you have to get in. And then any exercise alongside that is a bonus. But hopefully by now you fully understand the difference between exercising and training. And you can understand why it's such an important thing to focus on to see the results that you want from your efforts.